Chapter 11 The Choice of the First Soul Ring. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Amon finished his training and let out a breath. His soul power increased by 1 level and returned to level 12. Move your body to relax the stiff muscles caused by holding one position for a long time. Amon, I'm at level 10. The door opened with a bang, and Yen Jin ran in excitedly and shouted. She was very excited. At the 10th level, she could hunt for soul rings and become a true soul master. This was a qualitative leap. More importantly, after becoming a soul master, she could go to the spirit hall to receive living allowances every month. If she had had this qualification before, she wouldn't have to be so tired, and she wouldn't be slowed down by the various chores in life. Oh, congratulations then. I have already decided on the goal of your first soul ring for you. Amon said as he took down a book from the shelf. Of course, I just suggest that if you have different opinions, you can follow your own ideas. Yen Jin touched his head and said, Is there any other way to choose a soul beast? Aren't you going to use whatever you hunt? Use whatever soul beast you hunt. Amon smiled. That is indeed the current situation of most civilian soul masters. They have no one to protect them, and they have no qualifications to choose. They can only rely on luck, but don't we have the help of Ms. Mawan? She will provide help when we need the first and second soul rings. In fact, this is the most important part of the agreement. Then tell me, which soul beast is more suitable for my first soul ring? Yen Jin's eyes lit up. Of course, some choices are the best. Soul skills can be said to be the most important part of a soul master's combat effectiveness. That's it. Amon turned the book to the corresponding page. Yen Jin glanced at it twice, then asked in surprise and doubt, Slime? Yes. Is this kind of soul beast really possible? Yen Jin doesn't like to learn theoretical knowledge, but he still knows the basic principles. Shouldn't the soul beasts we hunt should be as powerful as possible? Only powerful soul beasts can provide powerful soul skills. This statement has some truth and is in line with objective laws, but in battle you do not rely on powerful attack skills to win. Some auxiliary abilities can allow you to perform better. Amon pinched the single-chip glasses, explained, I have reviewed a lot of information and they have verified my conjecture to a certain extent. The soul skills obtained by a soul master when hunting soul beasts are not completely random, but imply certain rules. I guess there are 3 factors that affect the effect of the final soul skill. The first is the characteristics of martial souls. Soul skills are attached to martial souls. The same soul ring attached to different martial souls will produce different soul skills. The second is the type of soul beast, which goes without saying much. The third point is the soul master's personal wish, and the third point is my speculation, but the possibility is very high. When the characteristics of the soul weapon, the type of soul beast, and the soul master's own personal wishes all match, there is a very high probability that the soul skill finally obtained will be consistent with the soul master's expectations. Yen Jin listened for a long time, and finally shook his head in confusion. I don't quite understand. Amon had no choice but to continue explaining. For example, a certain soul master's martial soul is a sword. He expected to obtain a soul skill to make his sword sharper, and then he hunted a sword-fighting beast. Well, it's a spirit beast that looks like a baboon, has metal blades on its arms, and has powerful melee capabilities. The soul master longs for sharpness, the sword spirit can carry sharpness, and the arms of the sword-fighting beast also have the characteristic of sharpness. The 3 elements converge. In the end, the soul skill obtained by this soul master will most likely have the sharp effect he expected. Yen Jin's little face was full of earnestness and solemnity, and she nodded from time to time to show that she was listening attentively. Amon pointed to the slime picture in the book and said, Your martial soul is magma, and you can inject soul power to create a large amount of magma, which has extremely strong destructive power. But you can't freely control the magma you create. You can only let it spread. No matter how powerful the destructive power is, it won't hit anyone. So you need a soul skill that allows you to control the shape of magma. You can accurately control the martial soul and change the flow direction and shape of the magma according to your own will. It may not be as effective as a powerful attack skill in the short term, but in the long run, this will last you a lifetime. You have to know that low-level attack skills are often useless in the battles of high-level soul masters. Powerful soul masters rarely use the soul skills they acquired when they were weak in combat, because these skills have already been. If you can't keep up with them, you will fall behind. In the future, you may become a Contra, or even a title Douluo, but form control will never be eliminated. Slime is a kind of soul beast with fluid characteristics. They are liquid and can freely control their shape, which meets your needs. You need to control the form. Magma is fluid and can be controlled into form. Slime can control form independently. The three factors are consistent, so slime is a good choice for you. In addition, there is a very important point. Although Ma1 promised to provide us with help, this help is limited. She will not spend too many resources on this. We cannot ask her to help us find a rare soul beast that matches the year you absorbed your first soul ring. Jin nodded seriously. I completely understand. In short, I have to hunt down the slime, and when absorbing the soul ring, I have the idea of obtaining its ability to control the form, right? That's right. But isn't the slime a water-attributed soul beast? Will it conflict with the magma? That's the problem. You need a mutated fire-attributed slime. Slime is a very common low-level soul beast. Precisely because of their weakness, mutation is a very common phenomenon in their group. If a slime group can't find a few slimes of other attributes, that's abnormal. Amon closed the book and put it back on the shelf. It takes time to find soul beasts. Please wait patiently. I will negotiate with Ma1 and ask her to send someone to find a fire-attributed slime that meets our needs. Jin nodded. Although he wanted to hunt the soul beast immediately to get the soul ring, he also knew that he couldn't rush this matter. He needed to do a lot of preparation. Hunting soul beasts is a dangerous thing. If you are not careful, you may lose your life. Ma1 frowned after hearing Amon's request. Fire attribute slime. Are you sure you want to use this kind of rubbish soul beast? It is hard to find and can't get any powerful soul skills. I can send a soul master to help you hunt it, so you don't have to worry about the soul beast being too powerful to kill. I recommend Chocobo or Flame Frog. Amon shook his head. We have our own considerations. This is the result of careful consideration. Ma1 pondered for a moment and nodded. You can control it yourself. I will send someone to find the target and notify you after determining the approximate location. Then I'll trouble you, Ms. Ma1. Amon bowed slightly. Chapter 12 Xilin Mountains. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After half a month, Ma1 finally received news. Jin, get ready and leave tomorrow. Amon said. Okay, I'm going to become a soul master soon. Jin cheered excitedly. Lei and the other children were also happy for her and gathered around her, chattering away. Eldest sister has become a soul master. Shouldn't we celebrate and have a good meal? Mori, a slightly fat girl, said. Eat, 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 you know how to eat. You have to save money for my eldest sister to go to school. Lei rubbed her head. Hey, when I get the soul ring and come back, we will go to the restaurant to have a big meal. Jin waved his hand and said very proudly. Amon put down the book in his hand and said softly, it's best not to set up such a flag, it's very unlucky. Huh? Flag? She said this pronunciation awkwardly, with a look of confusion on her face. Before doing something dangerous, you make a promise to others and promise to do what you will do when you come back. Usually in this case, the person will not be able to come back. For example, before a soldier goes off to war, he tells his fiancée that he will come back when the war is over. Married and then died on the battlefield. Amon shrugged. Although this is just a superstition, I think it's better to be cautious. There is a force driving the development of destiny. Why are you so angry all of a sudden? Yan Jin approached Amon and stared at him for a while. Amon slapped the book on Yan Jin's head and walked out of the room. You may not believe it, it depends on you. Yan Jin hugged the book, rubbed his head, and said, then let's go have a big meal today. Oh. Mori cheered. Frostleaf City is adjacent to the Xilin Mountains. It stretches for hundreds of kilometers, straddling the sky and the earth like a giant dragon, separating the provinces of Northland and Edfu. There are a large number of soul beasts living in the Xilin Mountains, which is the first choice for soul masters in Frostleaf City to obtain soul rings. Amon and Yan Jin were waiting at the city gate for the people sent by Ma Wen to assist them. A man wearing brown leather armor, a black robe, and a black cloth covering his face quietly walked up to them. Are they you two brats? That his voice was dry and hoarse, as if there was something blocking it in his throat. Yan Jin was startled, took a step back, and looked at the ghost-like man in front of her with uncertainty. She was very sure that she was not distracted. Being alert to her surroundings at all times was the secret to her survival until now, but he suddenly appeared less than 2 steps in front of him. Are you Ms. Ma Wen's? Yes, Glenn, a 30-level agility attack soul master. Glenn introduced himself according to the etiquette of meeting a soul master. Amon was stunned. This man was quite polite. This was also the first time someone greeted him according to the official soul master meeting etiquette. Amon, a level 12 auxiliary soul master. If you're all ready, let's go. Walking on the vast Frostleaf plain, the green grassland can be seen as far as the eye can see. The mountains in the distance are looming, and animals such as horses and elk gallop by from time to time. The summer in the north is very short. You have chosen a good time. If it is winter, you will have to brave half a meter of snow for a long journey, which is very dangerous. Glenn said. It's just luck. Amon smiled. Mr. Glenn, what kind of job are you doing under Ma Wen? Killer. Glenn said coldly, for example, kill those who made her lose money. He glanced at the two of them, and the indifference in his eyes made Yan Jin shudder. As if she felt this was a bit embarrassing, she opened her eyes wide and stared back. Amon didn't care and said easily, that's great, we won't be your target. Hope so. The three of them walked all day and finally came to a small market at the foot of the mountain. This is a campsite formed spontaneously due to the mountain goods trade, and the people coming and going are mainly merchants, hunters, and mercenaries. Amon discovered that the proportion of soul masters in the camp was not high, and many of them were ordinary people. Moreover, the goods on the street stalls were basically the furs of ordinary beasts, with only a few exuding soul power fluctuations. He couldn't help but ask, how dare you go into the mountains to hunt without being a soul master? There are fewer soul beasts in the outer areas. Most of them are 10-year-old soul beasts. Even ordinary people can deal with them. Glenn replied, after all, there are only a few soul masters in this world. Want to take a ride? Does anyone want to take a ride? The carriage back to Frostleaf City only costs 1 gintama coin. In the distance, someone was shouting. Perhaps, we should come here by carriage. This can save a lot of time and effort. Amon said while holding the lens. Glenn's steps stagnated. He was only thinking about how to leave a strong and cold impression on these two brats, and forgot about this. After a moment of silence, he said calmly, I have said that I am a killer under Lord Ma Wen, and it is necessary for me to keep my whereabouts secret. At this moment, a rugged man walked by and greeted enthusiastically, isn't this Glenn? I heard that you are going to take 2 little ghosts to hunt slimes. Is that them? We just happened to enter. Do you want to go hunting in the mountains? Yan Jin murmured in a low voice, didn't you say that you want to keep your whereabouts secret? Why do I feel like everyone knows it? Glenn's forehead twitched and he refused, no, I'm not used to acting with too many people. Then, he looked at Yan Jin and said, the man just now is called Collier. He is one of the suppliers of our Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce and has some strength. In order to help you find the slime with fire attribute, Lord Ma Wen issued a reward for information a while ago. It is not surprising that he knows it. We will rest here for 1 night today, and go into the mountains to hunt soul rings tomorrow, so as not to let those slimes run to other places or die in accidents after a long time. If everything goes well, it can be done in one day. Amon nodded, listen to you. Glenn stopped in front of a shop and rented 2 tents. He took Amon to the edge of the camp and started to set up, while Glenn hammered the ground nails into the soil with a hammer. He reminded, don't sleep too deeply at night. It's not just wild animals that can bring danger, but also people. Although the most basic order is generally maintained in the camp and no one will act arbitrarily, this is not absolute. I never lose my vigilance. Amon said with a chuckle, knowing that entering the Xilin mountains was dangerous. How could he not make any preparations? He came here with only his original body and 2 clones, and the other 2 clones were far away in Frostleaf City. Even if his original body died due to an accident, it would not affect his continued survival. He is Amon, and all the Amons together make him complete. After his original body died, his consciousness and personality would be transferred to any clone to form a new original body, but the price of death is a bit high. The original body is at least 10 levels higher than all other clones. If the original body's status is transferred and the new original body's level is not enough, the soul power level of the other clones will also decrease accordingly, so Amon will not take risks with his original body casually. Chapter 13 Ice Wolf. You are listening at NovelFlow.audio. Early the next morning, Amon opened his eyes in the tent. He felt his chest was heavy, as if something was pressing down on him. Looking at the drooling Yan Jin beside him and her thigh restlessly pressing against him, the corner of his mouth twitched. He moved Yan Jin's legs away and grabbed her cheeks to wake her up. Yan Jin, who had just woken up, had a confused look on his face, and instinctively rubbed the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand. Have you eaten? I'm very doubtful. How did you survive in a place like West Street until now? Amon's cold voice made Yan Jin wake up. She smiled sheepishly. I was so excited yesterday that I fell asleep very late. Go and pack up the tent and get ready to go into the mountains. Okay. After Yan Jin left the tent, a translucent insect with 12 links and a starry sky-like color turned into a shimmer of light and entered Amon's body. This is one of his time worm clones, responsible for keeping vigil last night. After packing their things, the 2 tents were carried by Amon and Yan Jin respectively, and the 3 of them walked towards the mountain. Glenn explained the goal to the 2 of them. A certain mercenary group discovered a group of slimes by a lake on the top of a mountain. One of them was different, it was fiery red. I had gone to confirm it before. Yes, it is indeed a flame slime, but the year is unclear. Amon breathed in the fresh air with the fragrance of grass and trees in the mountains, nodded and said, the age characteristics of slimes are difficult to judge. Only by fighting can we make a rough estimate based on its attacks. As they walked, Glenn suddenly slowed down. Yan Jin turned her head and looked around, and she also felt an unusual smell. Amon kept the soul power flowing in his body, ready to materialize it into a shield to protect himself at any time. From the dense bushes, a figure suddenly jumped out and rushed towards Yan Jin, the smallest of the 3. After Glenn glanced at it, he deliberately pretended not to see it. It was just an ordinary beast and nothing to worry about. He wanted to see what this genius who had high expectations from Ma could do. Yan Jin was stunned for a moment, then decisively rolled to the side to avoid the attack. The attackers refused to give in and continued the pursuit. Hua! She shouted. A large ball of lava emerged from her hand, heat waves overflowed, and the terrifying high temperature instantly melted through the attacker's head. This was a leopard. Half of its head was burned off and it fell to the ground weakly. The body twitched twice and stopped. There was no splash of blood. The wound turned into char immediately, the blood was evaporated, and the air was filled with the aroma of barbecue. TSK, you scared me, a big cat. Yan Jin kicked the leopard's body nonchalantly. Glenn's eyes narrowed. The lethality she displayed was astonishing. Even if it was just an ordinary beast, it was not something that a person without a soul ring could easily deal with, but Yan Jin did it so neatly. Amon was also amazed that her fighting talent was better than he expected, and her ruthlessness in life and death fights far exceeded what she showed during sparring with him. Beautiful. Amon clapped his hands and exclaimed in admiration, the road ahead is not smooth, and there are always mosquitoes, poisonous snakes, and wild beasts that appear from time to time to attack. Yan Jin relied on her martial spirit to burn out all sources of danger that were close to her. Amon either used his soul power to form a shield, or used the ground nails used to fix the tent to block them one by one. As for Glenn, there are basically no insects or snakes that regard him as a target. He is like a ghost, hiding in the trees. Looking at Yan Jin, who was panting due to mental stress and exhaustion of soul power, he turned back and said, "Aren't you all prepared before entering the jungle?" "This was my mistake," Amon said apologetically. He really had no experience in this area. It is very dangerous to run out of soul power in the Xilin mountains. We are here to hunt soul beasts. According to your method, we will only become food for the soul beasts in the end. He handed a bag of white powder to Amon. When applied on the body, it will emit some unpleasant smells for insects and snakes, causing them to instinctively avoid you. Normally, more than this kind of insect repellent powder is needed. Due to the characteristics of my martial soul, I only prepared. You still have to be highly vigilant, but it's much easier than before. Thank you. Amon took the powder, he and Yan Jin sprinkled the powder on their bodies, and the effect was remarkable. The insects rarely came to harass them. After a difficult trek, Yan Jin's face showed visible fatigue. She gritted her teeth and did not fall behind. Take a rest. Glenn said at a rock wall. Yan Jin sat down on a rock and breathed softly. How far is it? We're only halfway there. At this speed, I'm afraid we won't be able to go back before dark. Glenn said coldly. Isn't this what we expected? Isn't it just to prepare for this kind of situation? Amon pointed to the tent on the ground. Glenn shrugged. I just want to remind you that the forest is more dangerous at night. Ah! A wolf howled. Several large wolves with snow-white fur surrounded them, their green eyes full of violence and greed. Is this a dire wolf? Amon pinched his monocle. Dire wolves are spirit beasts that usually move in small families of 5 or 6. Yan Jin's face turned a little pale. She felt that the target of this group of wolves was her, and their greedy eyes never moved away. The wolves kept making threats and gradually narrowed the encirclement, hoping to make the prey lose their composure and attack the weakest among them. Amon said with a tsk and whispered, "Can you handle it?" Just a group of idiots who are less than 100 years old. Glenn snorted disdainfully, and he burst out with the momentum of a soul master. His soul power was surging, and the black robe behind him rustled. If they had wisdom, they would have run away now. Glenn's sudden burst of soul power made the wolves hesitate, but they still did not give up. With the roar of the leader wolf, the wolves tacitly launched attacks from different directions. They had a clear division of labor. 3 of them besieged Glenn, 2 of them restrained Amon, and the other 2 pounced on Yan Jin. The last 2 were the real key points. The rest were just feints. They only intended to hunt her from the beginning. Amon stretched out his right index finger and thumb, and with 2 muffled bangs, the air bullets pierced the eyes of the 2 wolves and exploded in their heads. They fell down before they even had time to scream. Yan Jin did not retreat but advanced, summoned his martial spirit, instantly pierced the chest of a dire wolf, and then kicked the other one in the head. Using the reaction force to pull away, she kicked hard with her right foot, approached the still alive one, and in the horrified eyes of the dire wolf, she fiercely stuffed a large ball of magma into its mouth. Glenn's head grew a pair of cat ears. Layers of shadows surged on his body, and the second soul skill lit up. He suddenly accelerated and rushed out like a sharp sword. The palm with claws cut the throat of a wolf, and a long tail whipped another one away. The last wolf king turned his body urgently and ran away without looking back. The wolf that was whipped by Glenn's tail whimpered and followed him away. Amon noticed that Glenn was silent even when fighting, and his presence was extremely weak. If he hadn't been paying attention to him the whole time, he would probably have ignored him. Combined with the characteristics of his martial soul when possessing a body, it was determined that his martial soul was a shadow leopard, a raiding soul beast that would use shadows to hide itself when hunting. Glenn didn't chase him. Protecting the good people was more important. He was about to turn around to rescue Yan Jin, but saw the bodies of 4 wolves lying on the ground, and suddenly found embarrassed that he had the least kills. The combat power of these 2 little ghosts is a bit outrageous. No wonder Lord Ma Wan is willing to invest. He muttered in his heart, assessing the potential of Amon and Yen Jin is also one of his tasks on this trip. According to his original estimate, Yen Jin could hold on for a while under the mouths of 2 dire wolves, but he didn't expect that it was the dire wolf that couldn't hold on. As for Amon, a real soul master, Glenn didn't think he would be defeated by the dire wolves, but it was also beyond his expectations that he could quickly and quietly get rid of them. He focused on his opponent and Yen Jin, so he didn't see how Amon made his move. After a long silence, he said awkwardly, "This is not our target, there is no need to kill it. Soul beasts are treasures given to humans by nature. If it is not necessary, they cannot be killed at will. The smell of blood will attract other soul beasts, so the 3 did not stay here for too long and found a new place to rest." Chapter 14 Flame Slime. You are listening at NovelFlow.audio. After the wolf pack, Amon and his companions were attacked by soul beasts again and were forced to extend their rest time. When they arrived at their destination, it was already evening, the sun was setting in the west, and the last light of the day shone on the clouds, revealing a golden and red color. The sky away from the sun gradually changed from light blue to dark blue, becoming deep and ethereal. The lake on the top of the mountain was very calm. Looking from a high place, the lake seemed very deep. Under the wide water surface, there seemed to be a huge shadow lurking, which could seduce people's fear of the unknown. Wow, so beautiful. Yen Jin stood on a stone, looking at the scene in front of him, with a genuine smile on his face, carrying the pressure of a family's life. Her heartstrings were always tense. It was rare for her to relax. At this moment, she felt that her body and mind had been purified. Glenn looked at the junction of the lake and the land, and he saw a few small black dots moving slowly in the distance. Found it, over there. Looking in the direction of his finger, Amon saw the slime tribe. Not far behind the slime group, an orange light spot followed not far away. That was their target of this trip, the flame slime. Because the flame slime has different properties from other slimes, it is excluded and isolated. It can only live on the periphery of the tribe and looks lonely. It feels so pitiful. Yen Jin's tone was a little gentle. After a pause, she continued, "So let's help it get rid of it." Glenn, who was about to advise her that it was not a good thing to be overly compassionate, swallowed his words back. "You have no compassion at all. TSK. This is just convenient for us to hunt." The approach of the 3 people aroused the vigilance of the slime group, and they jumped back. After realizing that their target was an alien in the tribe, they did not choose to help, but accelerated their escape, leaving only the flame slime surrounded in the middle. It suddenly swelled up, from the original size of a basketball to as huge as a water tank, making a grunting sound like a boiling kettle. The color also changed from the original orange-yellow to fiery red, and a group of flames appeared on the top of the body. It opened its mouth and sprayed out a huge column of fire. Yen Jin dodged it in a somewhat embarrassed manner. Amon looked at the attack range of the fire column, his eyes slightly condensed. The age of the slime cannot be judged by physical manifestations, but it can be judged by the killing distance of the water column they spray. The distance of 10 to 100 years is 5 to 10 meters, 100 to 500 years is 10 to 15 meters, and 500 to 1000 years is 15 to 30 meters. This is the age judgment standard of ordinary slimes. This is just a flame mutant, and Amon cannot be sure whether it adapts to this rule. He thinks the probability is consistent. Slimes often mutate only in attributes. The fire column just now sprayed more than 20 meters. According to the above rules, it is close to a 1000-year soul beast. This obviously far exceeds the absorption limit of Yen Jin's first soul ring. Amon came to Yen Jin and put his hand on her shoulder. A time worm quietly merged into Yen Jin's body. Ah, this. Yen Jin realized that a foreign object had suddenly merged into her martial soul, and was about to expel it when Amon's voice sounded in her mind. "Don't resist, this is my martial soul." Amon. She was about to turn her head. "Don't look back, don't show any strangeness." Amon stopped her. "I am communicating with you through the martial soul now, you just need to silently recite what you want to say in your heart. Listen carefully to me. The age of this slime has exceeded your limit, it is probably 800 or 900 years old. Under normal circumstances, the second soul ring of a soul master cannot absorb such a high age, but I have a way for you to absorb it. But I haven't tried it before, there is a certain failure rate. Think about it yourself, do you want to gamble? Yan Jin was very surprised. She had never heard of anyone who could help others absorb a higher year soul ring before, even the people in the tavern would not brag like this. Well, they would only brag more outrageously, such as the innate soul power of level 20, such as the soul ring personally bestowed by the gods. What method? She asked curiously. Amon's voice rang in her heart. My martial soul can be integrated into his body or martial soul without resistance. Soul masters cannot absorb soul rings that are too old because their bodies cannot withstand such a huge amount of energy. My martial soul can help you share some of the energy, but there is a certain limit, and it cannot exceed too much. I don't know where this limit is. Integrate into the body or martial soul is actually the use of the parasitic ability of the time worm, but because it is still too weak now, parasitism must obtain the consent of the other party, otherwise it will be easily expelled. When Amon made the suggestion, he did not choose to conceal it, and told Yan Jin the unfavorable conditions in detail, which could subtly make her trust herself more. He was not worried that Yan Jin would choose not to gamble, and the reality would not allow her to retreat. After a little thought, Yan Jin agreed, okay, let's do it. This is a matter of life and death, don't think about it anymore. Amon's mouth curled up slightly, which was within his expectations. Since you said that, you must be certain. I can only choose to gamble. Ms. Mawen will obviously not continue to spend manpower and resources to help me find a second fire slime. It is too difficult to find a completely suitable one. I don't have a second chance. Yan Jin said firmly. A very wise judgment. Amon smiled. Glenn dodged another attack from the slime and commented with a relaxed expression, although the attack range is quite large and the damage of the flame is not bad, the speed is too slow, and the characteristics of releasing the attack are too obvious. A trained ordinary person can easily dodge it. He showed his martial soul, Shadow Leopard, possession. The dark martial soul, which was shrouded in shadows and could only see the general outline, turned into a phantom and merged with Glenn. A pair of cat ears appeared on his head, and long and sharp claws grew on the front of his 10 fingers. The second soul ring lit up, and Glenn's speed doubled, and he quickly rushed to the front of the slime. The flame slime was startled and tried to retreat in panic, but its speed of movement was so impressive that it had dozens of wounds on its body before it landed. Like a deflated balloon, flames kept coming out of its wounds. It suddenly became very weak and its body slowly shrank. Hey, don't be stunned. Do you want this soul ring? If you don't do it quickly, it will die. Glenn reminded. Yes, yes, yes. Yan Jin rushed over and summoned his martial soul to smash into its body. The flame slime shrank with a puff, leaving a pile of orange-yellow, warm liquid on the spot. Faint yellow light spots began to condense above the slime's body, forming a bright yellow soul ring. Even if Yan Jin didn't touch it, he could feel the huge energy it contained, and couldn't help but doubt whether he could absorb it. She hesitated for a moment, gritted her teeth, slowly raised her right hand, and gathered her soul power into her palm. Along with the red light, a ball of slowly flowing lava gushed out from her palm, emitting a hot breath. Chapter 15, Soul Ring Beyond Age Limits. You are listening at NovelFlow.audio. Pulled by the red light, the slime's soul ring slowly flew towards the direction of Yan Jin. She sat cross-legged on the ground and focused on the martial spirit in her right hand. As the spirit ring approached, she felt an unprecedented pressure, as if she was under water dozens of meters deep, and her body was a little overwhelmed. Amon's 2 clones in her body also felt this pressure. After the yellow soul ring reached Yan Jin's head, it suddenly accelerated, shrunk to the size of a bracelet, and was directly attached to the magma spirit. Yan Jin only felt a huge amount of energy pouring in from his right hand, like a raging river, washing every part of his body. She began to tremble all over, and she couldn't help but moan as the pain felt like it was being torn apart. Thanks to the help of the Worm of Time, although he felt severe pain and his whole body was filled with uncontrollable energy, it was always just at the critical point that Rock Ember could bear. after the initial pain, the energy was gradually absorbed by the body, and the frown on Yan Jin's face gradually relaxed. She felt warm all over, as if she were basking in the sun on a warm summer day. After absorbing it, she opened the rock embers with a delighted smile on her face. Amon, I succeeded. Thank you. When she succeeded, the 2-time clones that helped her share energy were also upgraded from the original half level to 1 level. This made Amon feel that he seemed to have discovered a shortcut to improve his soul power, but he quickly put this thought aside. Helping others increase their absorption years should not be exposed. The risk is too high and it will attract countless covetous people. He nodded to Yan Jin and said to Glenn beside him, thank you for your help. Also, express our gratitude to Ms. Ma Wen on our behalf. Glenn shrugged, it's just a mission, but I was really lucky. I thought I would have to kill a few more flame slimes to find one of the right year. Kill, how many more? Yan Jin was a little confused. Oh, this slime group is very big. What we saw just now is only a small part. When I came to confirm the authenticity of the information, I found that there were several flame slimes in it, and there were even rarer thunder attributes. Slime. Yan Jin and Amon looked at each other, although the final result was good. Yan Jin felt a little depressed in her joy. When she absorbed the soul ring just now, she really thought she was going to die. Now that she thinks about it, she is still a little scared. If she had known that there were several targets to choose from, she would never have rashly absorbed so many that exceeded her years. Show your martial soul and let me see your soul skills. This is Master Ma Wen's request. I need to return my life to her after I go back. Glenn's cold voice rarely contained a hint of gentleness. Yan Jin smiled and stretched out his right hand. The martial soul appeared, and a bright yellow soul ring exuded a halo on the martial soul. Even if Glenn didn't say it, she still couldn't wait to show it off. More and more magma was seen, and then it climbed up her arms, forming a pair of thick gloves. Hey, my martial soul is magma, and its size is actually not fixed. It is related to the input soul power. The more input, the more magma will appear. Before, when the magma exceeded the size of my fist, the magma would drip out without my control. Now I can freely control its form. The essence of this soul skill is to enhance my control over the martial soul. It consumes very little. I call it martial soul condensation, Yan Jin explained with a smile. Amon sensed her soul ring through the worm of time. Because the worm of time took away part of the energy, the quality of the soul ring has declined, probably around 700 years. Yan Jin, a level 14 attack-type battle soul master. She suddenly looked solemn and introduced herself seriously. Level 14. Glenn's breath froze. A 7-year-old 14th level soul master, is this the world of genius? He used to think that it was not a wise decision for Ma Wen to invest so much money for 2 brats, but now it seems that he is short-sighted. Amon, let's have a fight. The improvement of soul power, the acquisition of soul skills, and the increase in physical fitness brought about by the upgrade made Yan Jin's confidence soar. She looked at Amon with an arrogant expression. Amon still had a smile on his face. It's not suitable here, let's talk about it when we get back. Oh. Yan Jin also realized that this was inappropriate, and his momentum suddenly weakened. They set up their tent in an open area and started returning early the next morning. The return trip was obviously much faster, and the journey was uneventful. When they returned to the campsite, they returned their tents and then took a carriage back to Frostleaf City. Although it only lasted 2 days, this journey made Yan Jin feel like he was in another world. Now, she is also a distinguished soul master, and she can go to the Wuhuan Palace to receive a gold soul coin as a living allowance every month. She happily walked towards the Wuhuan Branch Hall. The Wuhuan Branch Hall is a huge domed building, the whole is white, and a sword is carved on the front door. It is not magnificent, but it gives people a majestic feeling. The guards at the door were 2 young men in their 20s. They saw Yan Jin coming and said in surprise. What are you doing here? This is Wuhuan Palace, not a place for you to do business. Yes, Xiaokushwai, you'd better take your gang of boys to the city gate to see if there are any suitable outsiders. The people who can come here are not suitable for you. The guards were obviously no stranger to her. Hey, you two, stop slandering me. I've retired from the business. Today, I'm here to test my soul power level. Yan Jin put his hands on his hips and said proudly. Testing soul power level? Could it be that? A guard had a hint of disbelief on his face. Yes, from today on, I'm also a noble soul master. She smiled happily. Go to the reception hall on the first floor to find Lord Silver, he will give you a test. Yeah. Yan Jin walked in, and she suddenly found a guard following her. Why are you following me? The guard said expressionlessly, I'm worried that you'll get lost. In fact, he was worried that if Yan Jin was allowed to wander around, something might be missing in the spirit hall. Yan Jin also knew this, and said how with some dissatisfaction. Arriving at the reception hall, before she could speak, Silver glanced at her and took the initiative to say, You are here for the soul level test, right? Come with me, the hall master is waiting for you. Huh? Alas. Yan Jin's face was full of confusion. Under Silver's guidance, she came to the hall master's office in confusion. The hall master of the branch hall was a thin middle-aged man. He looked at Yan Jin and said, Little friend, we meet again. Ah, you are Mi Zhonglan. Yan Jin found this man with a weak presence in the corner of his memory. Mi Zhonglan smiled. It's impolite to call someone by their name like this. Okay, I apologize. Yan Jin knew that this person had a lot of say in whether she could get the monthly subsidy of 1 gold soul coin, so she decisively chose to follow her heart. You seem to have known that I was going to take the soul power level test. Of course, I have also paid attention to outstanding talents like you and Ms. Ma Wen's actions. Mi Zhonglan replied, Come on, inject your soul power and let me see what level you are now. Mi Zhonglan casually placed the crystal ball on the table in front of her. Yan Jin placed his hand on the crystal ball, and as the soul power was injected, a layer of yellow light shone on the crystal ball. The light was not strong, but it was extremely clear. 14th level. Mi Zhonglan looked at her in a bit of surprise, and the surprise on his face was difficult to conceal. Chapter 16 Amon, come and fight. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. What kind of soul beast did you get your soul ring from? Mi Zhonglan asked doubtfully. Yan Jin didn't hide it, it's a slime. Slime? That kind of low-level soul beast? Well, the year of the one I hunted was a bit high, slightly beyond the year that can be absorbed. I took the risk and gave it a try. I was very lucky and succeeded. Yan Jin hid Amon's help, and some secrets were not suitable to be exposed. Mi Zhonglan pondered for a moment and said solemnly, Are you willing to join the spirit hall? You don't have to leave Xuanye City. I will arrange for the spirit masters from the spirit hall to teach you. Yan Jin shook his head, Sorry, my current teacher is very good. That's such a pity. Mi Zhonglan sighed, Okay, your advanced evaluation is over. From now on, you will be a glorious soul master in the Tiando Empire. Go to Silver to get a badge. You can use the badge issued to you to come to Wuhuan Hall to receive subsidies every month. Hearing that he could receive the money, Yan Jin smiled happily and said, Thank you. After receiving the money and buying some snacks for her brothers and sisters on the street, she jumped back to her residence. Then, she walked to the door of Amon's room and shouted angrily, Amon, come and fight with me. Amon opened the door, walked out, pinched his monocle, chuckled and asked, Are you sure? Hey, my soul power is already higher than yours, I will definitely beat you this time. Then come. Seeing that she was determined not to give up until she reached her goal, Amon had no choice but to grant her wish. Yan Jin immediately summoned her martial soul and activated her soul skill. The lava flowed, covering her hands from the fingertips to her elbows, forming a pair of lava armors. Knowing that Amon could withstand the high temperature of magma, she had no intention of holding back. Hey, show your martial arts spirit. Amon had previously used his martial soul to help her absorb the soul ring. The integration and removal were done silently, so until now, Yan Jin had never really seen the appearance of his martial soul. Unnecessary. Are you looking down on me? Yan Jin said with a trace of anger on his face, never underestimate your opponent, this is what you taught me. With that said, she rushed forward. Amon just straightened his thumb and index finger, making a gun-raising gesture. Boom! An air bullet exploded in Yan Jin's abdomen, and she felt as if she had been punched hard by someone, causing a cramping pain. Amon controlled the power of air bullets, otherwise the damage would be more than that. Of course, low damage means faster attack speed and higher attack frequency. Knowing that Yan Jin's physique had improved a lot after becoming a soul master, he didn't have too much scruples, and shot air bullets at less vital parts of her body one by one, even if he had seen Amon's move before, even if he was prepared to deal with it in advance. It was only when he was actually targeted that Yan Jin realized how terrifying this self-created soul technique was. The soul power has small fluctuations, is fast, and is silent. Even if you are mentally prepared, you still can't avoid it. Yan Jin covered his whole body with magma, forming a pair of armor, and then gained a brief respite. However, she soon discovered that the power of the air bullet had become much stronger. Magma is a fluid, it only has the ability to buffer and weaken, and is not as tough as real armor. An air bullet can open a large hole in the lava armor, and the attack that follows hits the body one after another. The scene does not seem to have changed much from the beginning. After receiving a severe beating, Yan Jin finally shouted and begged for mercy. Stop, 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 stop fighting, I give up. Amon did not stop immediately. You can start a fight at will, but you may not be able to decide when it will end. I don't object to your willful behavior, as long as you can bear the consequences. Yan Jin held his head and squatted in defense. After a minute, Amon finally stopped attacking. Humph. You win this time. I will definitely win it back next time. Yan Jin, who had a bruised nose and swollen face, although his bones were almost falling apart from the beating, his mouth was still hard. Your soul skills are so easy to use. I haven't seen your martial arts yet. What is it? She asked with curiosity on her face. Amon smiled and said kindly, don't explore other people's secrets. TSK. If you don't say it, don't say it. Hiss. Yan Jin pulled at the wound on his body and took a breath. In the magnificent hall of Icethorn Manor, Mawen sat on a beautifully crafted chair, holding a glass of red wine. How's the situation? Do you think they deserve my continued support? Glenn recalled the performance of Yan Jin and Amon, nodded and said, I think the current support may not be enough. If possible, we should continue to enhance our relationship with them. Huh? Mawen was slightly surprised. She knew that Glenn was a proud person, and few people could get such praise from him. That guy Yan Jin is a real genius. She is already level 14. And her combat power is also very strong. She can kill 2 dire wolves instantly before she gets the soul ring. Now, most great soul masters may not be able to match her. Glenn's voice was cold, but what he said was shocking. What? Mawen lost her composure. I remember she was only 7 years old, right? Suppressing the surprise in her heart, she asked again, what about Amon? Amon, I can't see through it. Glenn thought for a moment and answered hesitantly. He always maintained a calm and unhurried attitude. I didn't even see him show his martial arts spirit along the way. Of course, this is also related to the fact that I focused more on Yan Jin. I know. Mawen placed the wine glass on the small table aside, tapped the table with her fingers, and fell into deep thought. After a long time, she opened her eyes and whispered, ask the people who went to monitor them to come back and send them the title deed of the house. In addition, tell them that if they still need to hunt for soul rings, I can invest more manpower to help find soul rings next time. Beast. Another person next to Mawen couldn't help but ask, Master Mawen, is it really necessary to show kindness to them like this? But for 2 children, the road of a soul master is never smooth sailing. Maybe one day it will be halfway. Died young. Ah, idiot. Glenn glanced at him sideways and mocked, Vasef, has your head become like your martial spirit? You can reach level 14 at the age of 7. Wait 5 years for her. To what level do you think you will be after graduating from the Junior Soul Master Academy? Coupled with that terrifying magma spirit, will you still be her opponent at that time? A spirit master with strength comparable to the spirit master will be regarded as a guest in any force in Frostleaf City. Give it a little more time, she will become a big person we can only look up to. Vasif's martial spirit is a wild boar-like spirit beast, and he and Glenn have never dealt with it. Who are you talking about? Wasif said angrily. You even despise your own martial spirit? Glenn said in a sinister tone. Wasif wanted to say something else, but he heard Ma-Wen say coldly, that's enough, don't question my decision. Chapter 17 Battle. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Ever since Yan Jin obtained the Soul Ring, the Bingfeng Junior Soul Master Academy had exploded. She was eager to reaffirm her position in the food chain and could fight 2 or 3 times a day. Some senior students who had already obtained soul rings, and whom she had not dared challenge before, all became her targets, after she defeated more than a dozen people. Usman, who was recognized as the strongest among the 6th graders, finally accepted the challenge under the persuasion of others. The duel between the two of them was scheduled for one day after school, in the woods behind the college. There were many witnesses, ranging from grades 1 to 6, most of the 6th graders stood behind Usman and were his supporters. This time he came to represent the 6th grade. If all the 1st graders were defeated, they would really become the worst class. There were quite a few people from the 1st to 5th grade standing behind Yan Jin, and they were all defeated by her. Combat is the standard for testing soul masters. Although it is not the only standard, under the influence of Mu Chang's psychology, they recognize the status of Yan Jin's eldest sister. Usman is a handsome young man with brown hair and blue eyes, but the shape of his pupils is a bit weird. They are vertical pupils like some reptiles. I didn't want to fight you. This kind of fight is meaningless, but you really went too far. Usman said coldly, you, a first-year student, are completely crushing our faces into the ground by doing this. Yan Jin raised his eyebrows. The strong are respected and the weak are humbled. This is the general principle among soul masters and the general principle in this world. We are all soul masters, and we can't avoid fighting with each other. Isn't it natural to test the results of our practice through fighting? Bear. A flame burned on her fist and quickly extinguished. Magma seeped out of her skin like water stains on the wall and enveloped her palm. After these days of fighting, she has become more and more proficient in the first soul skill, and can already control the martial soul very well. Yan Jin found that covering his hands with a layer of magma of moderate thickness was the most cost-effective way to fight. It could not only unleash the lethality of the magma spirit, but also reduce the consumption of spirit power. The more she fought and understood, the more grateful she became to Amon. The soul ring that the other party chose for her was a perfect match for her martial soul. Yan Jin, a level 14 attack-type battle soul master. Usman, a level 15 attack-type battle soul master. Usman looked solemnly at the high-temperature lava in the opponent's hand, and shouted, martial spirit, possession. A dark green lizard shadow appeared behind Usman and merged with it. Dark green fine scales grew on his skin, his hands turned into claws, and his tailbone extended, turning into a thick tail when filled with soul power. The 15th level soul power surged, and the air was filled with an invisible sense of oppression. Oh haha, finally there is someone who can see through it. Yan Jin was not surprised but overjoyed. The previous ones were too weak, and he had to worry about whether he would kill someone if he punched with all his strength. Watch the move. She rushed forward and threw an ordinary straight punch. Usman also responded with ordinary straight punches, and he used soul power to strengthen the scales on his hands. Boom. After all, Yan Jin's strength was no match for Usman, who was possessed by the beast spirit, so he retreated several steps before he could regain his balance. Usman glanced at the scales on his fist that were mostly burned, and his heart sank. It only took a moment of contact to cause such an effect. If it lasted for a while longer, his hand would probably be useless. Hey, not bad. Yan Jin's hands were covered with thicker lava, as if he was wearing a pair of thick gloves. Usman's soul ring suddenly lit up, he opened his mouth wide, and sprayed a green ray from his half-lizard mouth. Yan Jin's expression changed, and she stretched out her hand to create a large amount of magma in front of her, forming a quick shield. At the same time, she took a side step and drew aside. The beam stagnated slightly before penetrating the shield. Pure attack soul skills have such advantages. In battles of the same level, they are almost invincible. The moment the shield bought was enough for Yanjin to dodge the attack, and she immediately counterattacked. Lava bombs. That being said, it's actually just a matter of making the magma the size of a baseball, then waving your arms hard and throwing it out. In Amon's imagination, this should have been a scene simulating a volcanic eruption, where the magma was shot out like bullets due to the explosion of soul power. However, Yanjin did not have such detailed control and could not do this. She opportunistically used the power of waving her arms instead. This naturally has no offensive power, but it can form effective interference. Usman moved his arms in front of him to block the ball flying towards his face. The magma spread out under the power of his arms, and some stars fell on him, burning black marks on his scales. What a troublesome martial spirit. He frowned. Amon didn't know when he appeared in the crowd of onlookers. He pinched his monocle with a smile on his face. Teacher Amon, why are you here? A student recognized him and was a little nervous. Their behavior was suspected of gathering in a crowd to fight, which was expressly prohibited by the college. He was worried that Amon would be punished by the college after he reported it. Amon said gently. Don't be nervous. I'm just a teaching assistant, not the dean. Moreover, I teach fighting skills. Some students still seriously discuss with their classmates after school and practice in actual combat. This kind of progressive attitude should not be felt by me. Are you happy? TSK. A 6th grade student sneered. Many senior students did not buy into Amon's idea. They were about the same age, and some of them even had higher spirit power than Amon, so they naturally looked down on this informal teacher. Amon did not care about their attitude at all. He just stared at the battle in the field. Usman saw that his spirit skills did not establish the victory, so he did not continue to use them. Although pure attack spirit skills were invincible, they consumed a lot of spirit power, and he could not use them many times. The battle entered close combat again. Yanjin expanded the range of magma coverage, which forced Usman to invest more spirit power to enhance the defense of scales. Because of the characteristics of martial spirits, Usman needed to consume far more spirit power than Yanjin to offset the impact of high temperature every time he came into contact, otherwise he would be burned over a large area. The balance of the battle continued to tilt towards Yanjin. Usman used his spirit skills again, trying to make a last-ditch effort, but was blocked by the large amount of magma created by Yanjin. Finally, in reluctance, he was knocked to the ground by Yanjin with a punch. Oh, I won. Yanjin raised her hands and waved them to signal her supporters. The 6th graders were silent. They were generally 5 years older than Yanjin, and the 5-year gap resulted in such a result. Even Usman, who had the best talent and the strongest strength in the grade, lost. This was a little hard for them to accept. Heh. As expected, there are differences between people. Usman stood up with a bitter smile on his face. He had a lot of burns on his body, but they were not serious. Another girl with a healing spirit hurried over to help him heal. Hee, how is it? Yanjin looked at Amon, and his face showed an eager expression again. Not bad. Amon stretched out his thumb and index finger, pointing at Yanjin like a gun. This made the latter shudder, recalling the previous beating, and calmed down. Chapter 18 Sound of Thunder. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Teacher. Yanjin knocked on Amon's room. Amon, who was practicing soul power, opened his eyes and stopped meditating. Several clones in the room turned into streams of light and sank into his body. When he heard Yanjin call him that, he knew that this little brat must have something to bother him. She was not so polite at ordinary times. She would knock on the door bang bang bang. This was the result of her restraint after she entered Amon's room without permission and was punished. What's the matter? Amon pushed open the door and rubbed her head. Although Yanjin was dissatisfied with his hair being messed up, he had to swallow his anger because he had to ask for help. Teacher, will you hold a martial soul awakening ceremony? Well. Do you want me to help your brothers and sisters awaken their martial souls? Yes, Lei Yin and Mo Lei are already 6 years old, and it's time for them to awaken their martial souls. Yan Jin nodded. Why not go to the spirit hall? Yan Jin said bitterly, because the time has passed. They help civilians awaken their spirits at a fixed time every year. If you miss it and want to awaken alone, there will be an extra charge, which is not low. Amon shrugged and nodded. Okay, the academy has the instruments needed for awakening. I will borrow them tomorrow to help Lei Yin and Mo Lei perform the ceremony. Thank you. When mentioning the spirit awakening ceremony, Amon couldn't help but think of the famous awakening master Su Yuntao, and felt a little pity in his heart. If he helped me awaken, my spirit might be upgraded to a higher level and become a source castle or something. Amon doesn't know the awakening ceremony, but he can learn it. He found the corresponding book in the library that day and wrote down the steps of the ceremony one by one. It was not difficult. The next day, he borrowed the ritual instruments from the academy and prepared to help Lei Yin and Mo Lei awaken their spirits. Amon placed 6 black round stones in a hexagon on the ground and motioned Mo Lei to stand in it. With anticipation and uneasiness, Mori stood cautiously in the center of the hexagon. With the infusion of the 6 soul powers, a layer of golden light was released from the stone, forming a light golden light shield that enveloped Mori, as she was enveloped by the light. Mori's expression became a little dull, and golden light spots floated out of the stone and entered her body. Her body suddenly began to tremble. Stretch out your right hand. Amon's gentle voice sounded. Mori obediently stretched out her palm, and all the light spots began to gather. In an instant, a transparent crystal ball appeared in her palm. The golden light gradually converged, and Mori looked at the crystal ball in his hand, a little at a loss. This is your martial soul. According to the classification, it is considered a weapon martial soul. The next step is the key. Let's test whether you have soul power. Only those who have detected soul power can practice as a soul master. Amon explained to her, seeing that she was still somewhat at a loss. Yan Jin reminded her, take it back with your mind, and when you want to use it in the future, you should also use your mind to call it out. Mo Lei tried for a long time before taking the crystal ball back. Amon handed the blue crystal for the test to her and motioned her to put her right hand on it. Mo Lei put his slightly fat little hand on the test crystal ball, and after a moment, the crystal ball did not react. Yan Jin showed a disappointed look. Seeing her look, Mo Lei felt uneasy, pursed his lips, and asked tremblingly, do I not have the qualifications of a soul master? Amon nodded gently. The fact that the test crystal ball did not react did not mean that Mo Lei had no soul power at all, but that it was too little, not even half a level, and could not be detected. This shows that her low talent is not suitable for the path of a soul master at all, and forced cultivation is just a waste of time. Looking at the lost Mo Lei, Yan Jin felt a little uncomfortable, but did not know how to comfort her. Let her be alone for a while. You will only be counterproductive if you go. After all, you are a successful person, a genius, who makes countless people feel inferior. Amon advised. Next, he began to help Lei Yin awaken. I saw silver light wandering in Lei Yin's palm, like a silver snake, and there was a faint sound of thunder. Thunder and lightning martial spirit. Amon's eyes lit up, and he had more expectations in his heart. When Lei Yin's right hand was placed on the test crystal, the crystal ball suddenly burst into a bright light. Amon judged that his innate soul power was level 7 based on the knowledge he had read in the book. Innate full soul power is very rare, and level 9 and 8 can be called genius. Level 7 is considered good. If the soul ring obtained after birth is good, there is also a glimmer of hope to achieve a title Douluo. Amon looked at Lei Yin and then at Yan Jin, thinking that their village was a feng shui treasure land, and it was unexpected that 2 such talented people appeared at the same time. The children cheered, and Yan Jin laughed and patted Lei Yin on the shoulder. Haha, not bad, we will be classmates in the future, call me senior sister. The yard was noisy, only Mo Lei stood aside, looking at Lei Yin, feeling a little disappointed. Lei Yin showed a look of joy. He thought for a while, and said to Yan Jin, sister, can I not go to school? I still need to look after the family. It's too hard for Mo Lei alone. I can practice soul power at home. What nonsense are you talking about? How can you not go to school? Yan Jin frowned, showing the majesty of an elder sister. Amon pinched his monocle. his eyes flickered slightly, and said, "It's okay if he doesn't go, I can teach him the basic common sense that soul masters need to know." "That's fine." Yan Ji nodded. She recognized Amon's level very much. After all, he was the only one whose soul power was lower than hers and could still make her feel embarrassed. In addition, in her mind, Amon was also very knowledgeable and had unique insights into martial spirits. Although his soul power was inferior, he was better than the teachers in the academy in many aspects. "Speaking of school, Yan Jin, how much knowledge have you learned in school?" Amon asked suddenly. This. Yan Jin hesitated and began to dodge her eyes. Her practical ability was the best in the academy, and her theoretical level was the lowest in the grade. "What do you think Lei Yin needs to do most now?" Amon asked with a bit of testing meaning. Yan Jin lowered his head and thought for a moment, then clenched his right fist and lightly hit the palm of his left hand, and answered seriously, "I know this, he needs to hunt a slime. Soul rings only need to be hunted when his soul power reaches level 10. What he should do now is to exercise his soul power control level." Yes, that's what I mean." Yan Jin personally experienced the benefits of control to himself. She held her chin with her right hand and suddenly said to Amon, "Should we go to Ma Wen again and ask her to invest in Lei Yin as well?" Amon thought for a moment and shook his head. "Not for now, let's wait and see." Chapter 19 Farewell. You are listening at NovelFlow.audio. A fulfilling life will make people forget the passage of time inadvertently. 5 years have passed, and the time of parting is coming. Yan Jin has grown from a tomboy to a little Lolita with some grace. Her soul power has increased to level 28, and the second soul ring was absorbed beyond the limit with the help of Amon. The soul ring comes from a 1,500-year-old slime, but because the time worm shares the energy, the quality of her soul ring has dropped to about 950 years. Lei Yin stood beside her, his dark blue hair swaying slightly. This boy who looks a little delicate is already a great soul master of level 22, his 2 soul rings also come from slimes. The only difference is that he hunts slimes with thunder attributes, and they have not exceeded the age limit. The source of Yan Jin and Lei Yin's soul rings is not a secret among the soul masters of Frostleaf City. Both of them have shown extremely powerful combat effectiveness. It is for this reason that the slimes living in the Xilin mountain suffered, and more soul masters took this kind of soul beast that is easy to hunt and not difficult to find as the target of soul rings, until it was discovered that the soul skills of most people did not meet expectations. This wave gradually subsided. 5 years have made Amon from the original half-grown boy into a handsome young man. He is 17 years old. Shi Guantao looked at the 3 people in front of him with a complicated expression. "It's been 5 years. I've watched you get to where you are now. Amon, I once promised you that if you reach level 20 before the age of 18, I would write a letter to recommend you to the Northern Advanced Soul Master Academy. You are better than I thought. With your current conditions, I'm afraid no Advanced Soul Master Academy will reject you without any recommendation letter." Amon smiled slightly. "Your recommendation letter is also an indispensable condition. It can save me a lot of effort." Shi Guantao did not comment. He said to Yan Jin, "Yan Jin, you have a good talent. I have never seen a child with such talent as you. You have to work hard and don't let this talent down. I hope that our Frostleaf City, this remote land, can also produce a world-famous strongman. However, you have to change your irritable personality and learn more from your mentor Amon." Yan Jin scratched his head and laughed. Dean Shi also took good care of them, so she could listen to him patiently. If someone else came, she would have interrupted him with a sentence, "Stop talking nonsense." Finally, he looked at Lei Yin again. "Although your talent is not as good as your sister, you are also a Douluo. I hope you can work hard." Lei Yin smiled shyly and said politely, "Thank you for your encouragement and thank you for your care over the years. I will work hard." He joined the academy at the age of 9 and skipped to the same grade as Yan Jin. Amon took the recommendation letter and the outstanding graduation certificate of the 3 of them from the Ice Wind Junior Soul Master Academy from Shi Guantao, took off his hat, and bowed slightly. "Then we say goodbye here. Thank you for your care. Let's go." Shi Guantao waved his hand with a relieved smile on his face. He stood at the entrance of the academy, watching the backs of the three people going away, and was speechless for a long time. Lu Wensong walked up to him and whispered. Worry about them? There's no need. They are already famous and powerful in Frostleaf City. I heard that Yan Jin had dealt with the soul master named Wasav under Ma Wen not long ago. Shi Guantao shook his head. Frostleaf City is just a small place. When they get to a big city, their strength is not enough. They are still young. Lu Wensong said with a smile. Yes, they are still young. Arriving at the city gate, Ma Wen, Glenn, Wasav, Mori and others had been waiting for a long time. They came here to see them off. Ms. Ma Wen, I didn't expect you to come here in person. Amon pinched his monocle and whispered. Ma Wen showed a kind smile, which was a very surprising scene in the eyes of others. It was hard for them to imagine that the Shadow Queen of Frostleaf City would smile so kindly. Your potential is worthy of everyone's careful treatment. As a partner, I must come to see you off. We have had a very pleasant cooperation over the past 5 years, and I hope our friendship can continue. Ma Wen was so friendly because of the potential of Amon and others, and the advertising effect brought by Yan Jin over the years also made her a lot of money. Yan Jin's reputation is not only spread in the academy. After she became a great soul master, she defeated a soul master and became a new rising power in Xuanya City. As a supernova with unlimited potential, she is naturally admired and imitated by others. The clothing styles endorsed by her are quite popular among the young soul masters in Xuanya City. Ma Wen also made a small profit from this. Her investment in Amon and others has paid off and even made a slight surplus. Of course, your support is also a crucial part of our smooth progress to the present. If you didn't help us when we needed soul rings, we wouldn't have achieved what we have today. Amon nodded slightly. Ma Wen's smile became even brighter. Don't worry, I will take good care of those 7 little guys. Amon looked at Glenn standing beside Ma Wen, who just said lightly, goodbye, take care. Weifu on the other side was a little uncomfortable. He had provoked Yan Jin before and was beaten up, then he went to find trouble with Lei Yin again, but he still failed to win. As for Amon, he was a little scared when he saw him. He always felt that this man with a monocle and a smile all day long was extremely dangerous. Yan Jin and Lei Yin were saying goodbye to Mori and others. Mori, you will be the eldest in the family from now on. You must take good care of your brothers and sisters. If you have any problems, go to Ms. Ma Wen. She will help you. If you really can't solve it, write to us. Lei Yin told Mori. Except for Yan Jin and Lei Yin, the other 7 people did not have the talent of soul masters. Don't worry. Mori nodded. Brother Lei Yin, you have to keep an eye on sister Yan Jin. She is more likely to cause trouble. I will. Lei Yin said seriously. He deeply understood this. Most of their reputation in Frostleaf City was earned by Yan Jin fighting with others, but this is also a Nord tradition. It's not a big deal. Often they fought fiercely the day before, and the next day they were arm in arm and called brothers. What do you mean I am more likely to cause trouble? It's obvious that the trouble came to me. Yan Jin muttered in a low voice. Her behavior showed that she had no confidence in this, otherwise she would have shouted loudly. Yan Jin gave Mori a few more instructions and then jumped on the hired carriage. Her eyes swept over Ma Wen, Glenn, and Wasav, lingered on Mori for a while, and glanced at the top of the city gate. She waved her arms and shouted, then we're leaving, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself too. The voice came from the city gate, from other graduates. Goodbye, everyone. On the road outside the city, a young man in patched and shabby clothes looked at the carriage going away, adjusted the monocle on his right eye, and slowly raised the corner of his mouth. Chapter 20 The Second Soul Ring and the Card Bug. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Amon's original cultivation talent had long been restored to the level of innate full soul power. In addition, he handed over many chores to his clones and concentrated on meditation, so his soul power level increased quickly and was already level 30. His second soul ring came from a 2,000-year-old false beast, since he could use the Time Worm clone to help Yan Jin share energy and absorb soul rings beyond the limit, he could naturally use the same method to absorb soul rings with higher years. Similarly, after the energy was divided, the age of the soul ring decreased to only about 1,300 years. The false beast is not a low-level soul beast like the slime. They are cunning and dangerous. In order to hunt this false beast, the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce paid a great price. Even Glenn was injured and lay in bed for a week before recovering. The second soul skill was called Swindler by Amon. It can increase affinity and make others more likely to believe what you say. It is a hidden mental influence. This is a permanent effect that exists for a long time without activating soul skills. When it is launched actively, it can affect the thinking ability of the target within 50 meters around, making its thinking slow. The effect is related to the strength comparison between the target and the target. If the target's mental power is far greater than the target, then this effect will become extremely limited. The target of Amon's third soul ring is the eyeless snake, a soul beast with extremely strong perception. This kind of soul beast is not distributed in the Xilin Mountains, so he plans to join the Advanced Soul Master Academy first, and then go to the Sunset Forest to hunt. In addition to reaching level 30 in soul power, the number of half-soul time clones has also reached more than 150. The soul power level of these almonds is unified to level 20. Their soul rings do not need to be hunted, and will automatically generate the same as the original body when the level is reached. The cultivation talent of the time clone with only a half soul is equivalent to only half of the innate soul power. According to common sense, it is impossible to cultivate so fast, but Amon has a bug. When he reached level 20, he tried to let the clone pull the soul ring produced by the soul beast he hunted. Theoretically, the Time Worm clone is also part of his martial soul, and should be able to absorb soul rings. But the soul rings of the clones are automatically generated according to the original body, and they will not obtain new soul rings. The final result is that the clones did not obtain the corresponding soul skills, but absorbed the energy in the soul rings, and the soul power level increased rapidly. After Amon reached level 30, he went to the Xilin Mountains on purpose and hunted low-level soul beasts in the periphery. Using this bug, he raised the level of all clones to level 20. Ah, so boring. When can we get there? Yan Jin rubbed his buttocks. The shock absorption effect of the carriage was not good. It was a disaster to sit for a long time. Be patient and wait. It's only been 3 days. Beatty City is hundreds of kilometers away from Shuanya City. We have to spend more than 10 days on the road. Lei Yin replied. Ah. Yan Jin sighed, lying motionless on the mat, like a corpse. I will be bored to death. Can you find a way to have some fun? If you are really bored, I have a suggestion. Amon pinched his monocle, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Tell me. So, Yan Jin and Lei Yin were driven off the carriage by Amon, and trotted behind the carriage, under the pretext of exercising, and the carriage finally returned to silence. The coachman was a middle-aged man with a little white hair. He didn't want to do this kind of long-distance business, because it was too far and easy to encounter danger, but Amon gave him a price he couldn't refuse, 15 gold soul coins, which was more than he could earn in a normal year. In addition, the three were willing to follow his advice and take a long detour for safety, so he took the order. He looked back at the two people following the carriage and shook his head. He didn't quite understand their behavior of leaving the carriage alone and using their legs to travel. Damn, what a bullshit proposal. Yan Jin complained while running. Lei Yin sighed, sister, just say less. It's because you're too noisy that Mr. Amon is angry. Angry? I don't think so. That guy won't be angry at all. Yan Jin shrugged indifferently. Even if you put a knife on his neck, he can still talk to you gently. He just has a bad taste. Lei Yin thought that anyone who has a knife on their neck will be easy to talk to. Suddenly, the carriage stopped, and the horse pulling the carriage was a little panicked. A dozen masked men in black blocked the road, holding shiny knives in their hands. The driver looked at them in fear and couldn't help but regret it. I should not have been greedy for the money earlier. It's really not so easy to get. I'm afraid I will lose my life this time. The leader of the black-clad men stepped forward, put his knife on his shoulder, and said fiercely. Stop the car, this place is my territory, if you want to go, leave something for me. He suddenly saw Yan Jin following him from behind, his eyes lit up, wow, there's a little beauty. Hey he praised me as a beauty. Yan Jin laughed very happily, no one has ever praised me like this before. Lei Yin stroked his forehead helplessly, Amon put his hand on the car window, then pushed hard, flipped from the car to the roof, pinched his monocle, sat on the edge of the roof and prepared to watch the show. Give me all the beauties and valuables. Hand over all the money. Yan Jin said faster than him, she put her hands on her hips, walked forward, and repeated to the somewhat stunned thief leader, hand over the money. Since you praised me as a beauty, I can let you go. Ah. Me. The thief leader pointed at himself with his index finger, hand over the money. What are you hesitating about? Yan Jin has never been a patient person, her fist glowed red, and the hot breath made the temperature around her rise a few degrees. The air density suddenly changed due to the heating, and the scenery in front of her was a little distorted, the first soul ring lit up, and the yellow halo was not dazzling, but it was extremely condensed. Big fire, that the huge fist condensed by lava came in an instant, engulfing the thief leader and the two unlucky guys behind him, clothes, hair, skin, flesh, bones. The terrifying high temperature burned everything they had without leaving any slag. When Yan Jin took back his martial soul, the magma disappeared, and only the melted ground showed that the terrible scene just now was not an illusion. The driver was both happy and horrified, and there was a bit more awe in his eyes when he looked at Yan Jin. He originally thought that these three people were children from a wealthy family. Amon, who looked like the elder brother, might be a soul master, but he shouldn't be very strong. Unexpectedly, the most childish girl who chattered all the way could show such a side. Soul master. Although the remaining thieves were so scared that they couldn't hold their knives steadily, they still didn't run away. Amon noticed that they frequently cast their eyes on a small man in black at the edge, and he realized that this might be their real leader. He didn't rush to take action, but watched quietly, waiting for Yan Jin to deal with it.